Bonjour mes amis, et bienvenue au Pendu dans le Cercle de Lune. Hello friends, if this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know from my tearing apart and thrashing an attempt at a French introduction to this video, that this is my series in which I use Terre de Marseille adjacent, and antique Italian decks to help explore the central message to my larger weekly spread. And I've already done my larger weekly spread. And just in case you have not seen that video, I'll put a card up here for you to hop on over and take a look at that video first before coming back to this one, because having the basis of understanding for why the answer to the question that I'm about to ask is the way it is, having that background will make this video more understandable. Now, you don't have to watch that larger video all in one sitting. You can watch it in pieces. That's perfectly legal. No, there's no YouTube police that's going to come out and get you for not watching the video all at once. Now, just in case you have watched that video in pieces, or it's been a while and you want a little bit of a refresher, let me remind you that the title to that video was Keeping Going Through Completion. Yes, that was the title I landed on. And I opened it up for you to comment on whether you think that was an appropriate title or not. And I'm still open to responses to that question. But the main idea of that video was sometimes, not always, but sometimes when we reach completion on a project, when we start something, again, not everything, some things. Like, for example, if we start a relationship, we're not anticipating and hoping for a good conclusion, are we? No, we're anticipating and hoping for a process that unfolds and unfolds and unfolds and unfolds through eternity, if we can make it. But there are other things, like a creative project, perhaps. Like you start a work of art, and you are anticipating a beautiful completion, right? Or you start cooking something, and you are anticipating a delicious completion to the cooking process. Or you start a project at work, and you are anticipating a successful completion and good turnouts, right? Maybe you are preparing for or doing some kind of presentation, and you're expecting and are anticipating a good completion, and that completion comes. And no matter how good the completion feels, there's often, always, sometimes, mostly, with that, a sense of, I'm missing, something's, not a disappointment, but the I Ching said loss. And I think that's a good word, loss. The thing is finished and we've lost something. We've lost a purpose, perhaps. We've lost an activity. We've lost something that was moving us forward. There's some loss that we can experience. And I use the example of a play. Now, there are some plays that can continue through generations of actors. For example, Mousetrap ran in London for 45 years, and some of the performers who started off as the young ingenues finished their careers in the same play in different roles, and then they retired and the play continued. But for most of us who do theater, the play will end long before we retire. And at the end of closing night, yes, there's a completion to that. Yes, we finished the run, and we call it a run in theater. We finished the run, and there's a feeling of loss. No matter how good the end of the run is, there's a feeling of loss of that thing that we've been participating in, right? So this week's larger spread seems to indicate that we want to continue through this, doing what we're doing, whatever we are doing, in addition to what we had been doing, which has been completed. Keep doing what we are doing through this completion process, through the liminal space that we are about to emerge into. And be poised and be ready and be rational through this. And not get overwhelmed by, well, I gotta start something new. Right? Does that, if you remember the larger video, does that sound like a good recap? If not, let me know in the comments below. So, what we do every week is I do this. I will show you the question I ask every week. What is the central message of this week's 5-element spread? That's what I'm calling the weekly spread that I'm doing these days. And then I'll show you the cards, and then we'll talk about them. But before we do that, I want to say thank you first. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to all of you who hit the thumbs up button and who subscribe to the channel and who comment below. Now, all of you warm my heart. But even more important than warming my heart, you help other people. You help put this channel and these videos in the visual space of other people who might not have known about this channel. And then they have the chance to look at the videos and decide whether they want to continue participating just as you are. So those things that you do are of service not only to me, but even more importantly, to other people. Yeah? And I'm very grateful for that which you are doing. I'm also grateful for those of you who have reached out and asked for private readings. That is one of my joys in life. I love reading for people. So for those of you who go to my email address and shoot me an email and say that you want to have a reading by me, thank you very much. And here we go. Here are the question and the photo of the spread right now. What do you think of this deck? The Tarot de Marseille, well, okay, so. Well, what do you think of the tarot deck? I won't tell you what kind of deck it is yet. Have you seen this deck? Do you have this deck? This is called Le Tarot de Gulliver. I don't speak French. The Gulliver Tarot, or the Tarot of Gulliver. And it's a brand new deck to my library, and I'm really excited. I really love this deck. I love the artwork on it. So, there's a little itty bitty diversity in the deck, not a whole lot, but there are some non-white figures, which I like in the court cards, which is wonderful. Even a little bit is nice. It's definitely a new drawing, a new rendition, a new take on the Tarot de Marseille. Right? It's not an antique Italian deck or even a redrawing of the Italian decks. This is totally TDM, but a reinterpretation. It has the spirit, I won't say that it looks like, but it has the spirit to me of the Tarot Noir, which is a deck that I really, really love, and is in chocolate colors, is the best way for me to call it, with really sharp gilding on the edges. It kind of hurts my fingers to shuffle a little bit, but it's a gorgeous deck. It's huge, but I have big hands, and that is wonderful. I like big decks. Never mind. So this deck here is smaller than the Tarot Noir, easier to shuffle. There's no gilding, which is surprising considering it is a French-produced deck. Now, if you want this deck, I'll put a link in the description box below. You can order it from Amazon. It will ship from France. The guidebook is in French. But if you know Tarot de Marseille, you don't need to use the guidebook. The guidebook is physically a little bit on the larger side, but the content is small enough that, have you ever used the translate function on Google? Now there's a little picture of a camera in the search bar when you first open Google on your phone. You can scan something with your phone in Google and have it translated, and that translation works pretty well, especially from the Romance languages into English. It actually works okay sometimes for Korean, but we're not going there. So you can take a picture of the entire page for one card in one shot, and it will translate. So that's not so bad. So that's just a suggestion, even if you are new to Terre de Marseille. Now, the way the book describes the deck is a little bit in narrative form, and so you don't get keywords, you don't get descriptions. You get some description of the cards, but reaching an interpretation from the narrative description of the card in the book might be a little challenging for a newbie, but maybe not. If you like working from narrative script, narrative text, this might be exactly the deck for you. So, love this deck. And then you also saw that I have an Oracle card from Patrick Valenza. I'll have a link to that below. This is the Zammer Twins Oracle. Love that too. So, we're going to go right into the cards now. You saw from left to right, we had the Knight of Wands. Then we had, which was the same from last week. Now, last week, in the same position from a different deck, we had here, in the same position, the Knight of Wands. Showed up again this week. Very interesting. Then we had the Seven of Wands, and then we had the Queen of Coins. Wonderful reading. And you noticed, hopefully you noticed, did you notice this when you saw the cards all laid out together, that the Knight and the Queen were basically looking at each other through the Seven of Wands? So that's how I'm going to read this spread. So this could either be me, you, somebody else, me, you, somebody else, or aspects of self in relationship around this. Does that make sense? So I'll be describing this as aspect of self, but if you want, read one of these as you, one of these as somebody else, and the relationship. Make sense? So, whether you're a man, you're a woman, you're a non-binary person, you are an intersex person, you're trans, you're cis, whatever, you can either be the Knight of Wands or you can be the Queen of Coins. Or both. And that's the way I'm going to read it now. We are both. So, the Knight of Wands. I love this deck. I love the art on this deck. I love that oval. I really do like this odd oval frame within a frame. Yeah? Especially because these ovals are not, they're not the same. For example, look, the oval on the Queen of Coins is very different in shape than the oval on the Knight of Wands that has a little bit of a lace around it. Do you see that? And that lacy kind of feel is echoed in the, maybe it's the wands, maybe all of the wands, I don't remember now, maybe all of the wands have that lacy feel to it. Maybe the swords will have something else and the coins will have something. Oh, there is a little bit of a scallop. I just noticed that. There's a little bit of a scallop around the black border for the Queen of Coins. So maybe that's it. I'll buy it yourself and find out. It's a really cool deck. So again, we start off with the Knight of Baton, of Wands, which is what? It's action, it's adventure, it's fearlessness. Yeah? This is a knight who wants to ride out quickly and do the brave thing, right? This knight is sexual and has creative energy. And the knight can channel his, her, or their instincts, their creativity, and their courage, can direct it towards something. Now, for some people, the Knight of Wands has healing abilities, which is interesting. And maybe that healing ability is going to be beneficial for us at this point because of the way the week's larger spread laid out. From the guidebook for this book, there's also the idea of divine and infinitely noble tasks for this person. They carry the sacred source of creation with them. So there's that creative energy, the channeled instinct, but according to the guidebook, there's a sacred divine aspect to this night. So we could have the sexuality here, but we could also have the divine, spiritual, creative, energetic adventurer working towards a noble task, kind of like one of the knights from the Round Table. Yeah, a very a romantic knight. Right, from the romances, from the time of the romances. And courtly love. And that knight is facing the Queen of Coins. Now, again, the Queen of Coins is neither a man, nor a woman, nor a trans person, a cis person, nor an intersex person necessarily. It's all of, the Queen of Coins is all of that. So, the Queen of Coins is the queen who is practical and still enjoys the creature comforts, loves the stuff that she has around her, he has around him, they have around them. They are interested in financial security, yes, and have the ability to make do always. They can make do with what they have around them. Now, sometimes what they have around them is pretty nifty and pretty useful, and they have plenty of stuff to take advantage of. But even if they don't, they can make do with what they do have and enjoy what they have. Whether it seems to the outsider as an insane abundance or a very frugal life, to the person there in that life, they enjoy what they have and they can make do with what they have. If that makes sense. With whatever their realm is, whatever size their realm is. So they're practical and pragmatic. They use their energy to maintain what they have and to innovate, to make new uses of what they have. And they have the courage to look themselves in the face, right? They are clear-headed, pragmatic, and never mind. Keep going. Now, from the guidebook, it says that the Queen of Discs is the guardian of treasure, and they cannot be distracted. They are, in fact, both the key and the chest. They are the treasure and they are the key to the treasure, if that makes sense. So, it's these two aspects of self that are in relationship. Now, the divine carrier of the sacred source of creation and the noble task, the action adventurer part of ourselves that is also sexual and has the ability to heal. Plus, the one who enjoys the material things around us and can work with those things that we have around us to do whatever it is we want to do. We maintain what we have and we can innovate as well. And we're practical, we're pragmatic, and clear. We can look ourselves in the eye. as well as being the treasure and the key to opening locked boxes, to opening treasures as well. Having these two aspects in relation, yeah? The Knight of Wands, Fire of Fire, the Queen of Coins, Water of Earth. Now, if we think Kabbalah, which I often do, there are 4 trees of life. Yeah? The top one is the tree of fire, the next one is the tree of water, the next one is the tree of air, the next one is the tree of earth. The top of the top tree is fire of fire. The bottom of the bottom tree is earth of earth. Now, she's not earth of earth, but she is water of earth. Yeah, she's on the bottom tree. She's the queen of the bottom. He's the king of the top. She's the queen of earth. He's the king of fire. The opposite ends. So in their joining, they encompass the entirety of all, right? Bringing these two aspects together, we have a kind of wholeness and completion. An alchemical marriage, as they would say. Yeah? And what is their attention on? Their attention is on working for the benefit of the community. Good leadership, inspiring action. So the things that they do together inspire others. The knight, him, her, themselves. The knight is inspired in and of him, her, themselves, but together, the knight and the queen are going to inspire others. To their combination, their combined energy creates more enthusiasm than usual. They're looking at openness and that irresistible action. Together, there's something that they want to do that they cannot not do. There's a creative blossoming that they're looking at. A blossoming that will benefit themselves and others. Because sevens for me are the energy of the qualities of the suit, be it wands. What are the suits? Wands, cups, swords, or coins moving out into the community. And it seems like the guidebook for this deck agrees with that interpretation. So from the guidebook, we have here securing achievements, time to believe in our legitimacy. The legitimacy to do what we are doing. Right? To build an impenetrable wall between ourselves and our doubts. So that those doubts will wither and fade away. If we fight against our doubts, we give them energy and they grow. If we suppress our doubts, we give them energy and they grow into raging beasts. If we build a wall between us and our doubts, we will not allow those doubts to... There's a difference between suppressing and allowing them to rail outside the wall. Yeah? They can't get in. We know they're out there, but we're not going to give them any more attention than they did, any more attention, period, and they will wither and die. So, that is, I think, the suggestion for the joining of these two beings or these two aspects of self. That we combine these aspects of ourself or work with another person to work for the community, to find our enthusiasm, to rekindle our enthusiasm, to open ourselves to discovering the irresistible action. And that would also include waiting for that irresistible action to make itself known. Right? And believing in our legitimacy, believing in ourselves, to the extent that we are secure from any doubt that we may have carried along from our past. Does that make sense? That we join those aspects of self to do those things? Now, we've got one oracle card here to help us out. It was from the Zammer Twins Oracle, and it just seemed to look good with this deck, so I chose this one instead of the Cercle de Lune. We have the Wound Man, not the Wounded Man, but the Wound Man is the title, and yet the description of this card is a wounded man rises into the heavens, penetrated by various forms of weaponry. Although his injuries are severe, he remains alive and beyond any feelings of pain. Reminds me a lot of Saint Sebastian. And I don't know if you know this, but Saint Sebastian has been claimed by the queer community as one of our saints. Along with Sergio and Bacchus and Felicitas and, what is her name? I forgot her name. Felicitas and somebody. Anyways, it starts with the C. Okay, so anyways, Saint Sebastian has been claimed. And so this reminds me of Saint Sebastian, so that made me feel happy. The Wound Man. Points to things like injury, trauma, a gruesome encounter, a wounding encounter, something that is devastating and is fearful, is fear-inducing, but also surgery, which is interesting. I don't think we're being all called to go to the hospital to get surgery, but still, that's a possibility. However, the other things I think are more appropriate for the Wound Man. The Wound Man. Also healing of wounds. Surgery, the next step is the healing afterwards, right? So the healing of wounds. They could be physical, but they are probably here more psychospiritual. Those psychospiritual wounds that may be preventing us from moving on from completion. Now remember, the Knight of Wands has healing abilities, right? Mentioned that. So here we have that idea of healing wounds. Search for a cure or remedy. And having a spirit that transcends mortal problems, not moral problems, mortal problems. Problems of everyday life and problems of the everyday world. We can transcend those problems embodying the spirit of the Wound Man. As we heal ourselves and we transcend. And that transcendence is a bit of a reminder of, the Knight of Wands, yes, but also this one, right? The irresistible action and creative blossoming in service of self and others. That's a kind of transcendent course of action. But the first step is to heal from that sense. Remember, we had that sense of loss. So I think rather than this being a reiteration, a restatement of the spread, I think this is a statement of what to do. Now, what is the central message? Instead of being a restatement of the message from the larger spread, which seemed pretty clear, this is a restatement of the next steps. What is the message? The message is to do this, to join these aspects of self, to do this work, become this, by perhaps embodying this. Does that make sense? If it does, let me know in the comments below. If it does not, let me know in the comments below. So friends, thank you for coming with me on this journey. I really enjoy doing this. I enjoy doing this, and I enjoy when you engage with me doing this as well. That is wonderful thing for me, and it also helps other people. So again, thank you for all of those things. And friends, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope and pray that your 2024 is going to be a year of bountiful blessings, of love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.